Okay, so I'm super excited to show you this new functionality, our theme engine. This is much different than our templates and funnels section. If you're not familiar with our CMS, or if you are familiar with our CMS and you're familiar with importing themes, we have a process of importing themes to where you can take pretty much any HTML website that's out and import it directly into our platform by leveraging our template system to add whatever custom assets, your CSS files, your JavaScript files, the code of the site, to create a template that you can use across your child users or deploy our near me technology, right? Some of the limitations of that functionality is, one, there's a lot of need to share that across your parent accounts or their parent accounts and really your entire ecosystem. Also, there's a lot of users who have mastered the import process, or at least building themes out in our system, that they want to be able to either monetize the themes they've created across users outside their ecosystem, or even just want to contribute to other users within our community. And that's been requested quite a bit. In addition to that, when you build out a blank theme from our system, so for instance, when you create new funnel in our platform, you have our existing system themes, but you also have a blank import theme. The problem with creating a blank import theme is you have really just code you put into it and whatever functionality the CMS has in addition to what you put in there. But we do have some really cool content blocks you can drag over if it was a system template. And for example, as well as like your root variables or your theme settings, such as colors and secondary colors and fonts. And if you're familiar with creating CSS files and just styling a site, you'll get this part and you'll be, I would say, somewhat impressed of what we did there, right? So for example, if I were to go into our dark side theme, right? So in the theme tab, you have all these global variables that you can use to change the color scheme of the site. In addition to that, you have these content blocks, right? And so these content blocks are, in my opinion, really powerful at building sites really quickly, or just reusing certain content sections on different pages to where you can just quickly grab whatever you want, drag it over, and quickly customize it. So when you build out your conversion architecture, I have all these pre-built blocks already ready to go. Doesn't mean you can't create your own blocks and create your own sections with these other drag and drop options that are available on every theme. Unfortunately, when you use the blank theme, you lose this functionality, right? So you need a system template that will actually do this. In addition to that, all the pages that are created. So for instance, when you create the dark side and start with the dark side template, we provide all these pre-built pages. So you can come in and say, okay, I like this page. I'm going to start with this page and start configuring, right? And so it's already there. I can come in and build out my page names, what my navigation sitemap's going to be, and set everything, and then delete all the rest, right? And really quickly, I can have a framework of a site already ready to go. The problem, if you have your own design or you have a theme that you want to import, you lose all this type of functionality. You have to build out the pages as is, and that's what's available. And so you could mimic that, right? But you still lose the content blocks, and starting from there is just a little bit different. So the theme engine is just another layer on top that allows users who have themes they want to import and make it available across their entire ecosystem or specific users. And you just have more fluid control as far as how those are represented in the system. For instance, when you create a new funnel, all those custom imports show up in this tab here. They don't show up in the main system tab. You don't really have any control of what this looks like. You can now with this new functionality. So I'm super excited about it, especially how you monetize it as a user today and what you would use across your network. So let me go ahead and break it down on how that works. So you're going to come over here under templates, and then you're going to click on themes. So actually, I already have this tab open. So you're going to click on themes. And here you're going to click on the create new theme. So in this case, I'm just going to do custom theme example. You have a category that you can pick here. If you already have one set up, you can apply it to that category. In this case, I'm just going to do sample, oops, can't type today, category. And then you can apply it, oops, geez, sorry, sample category, right? You can apply it to a workspace. This is if you want to organize it yourself within your own workspaces, or you may have designers who are going to be creating these themes for you. You would apply it to a shared workspace so someone can go in there and edit it who has access to your workspace. So I'm going to go ahead and click add, and then I'm going to go into the custom theme example here. So again, you can change the workspace directly through here. This is a theme name, so this is what's going to show up inside when someone clicks add new funnel. This is going to be a system theme for you. A category, you can switch the category out. You can add a thumbnail. So in this case, let me go into images here and grab that. There's my thumbnail. The snippet's just a little more information about what the theme is used for. Best for corporate brands, whatever. In this case, I'm just going to do a simple example of who this theme is best for. And then preview link. So preview link is helpful if you're using this to provide themes outside your ecosystem or for your parent accounts in their ecosystem. You're going to want to get a non-branded URL, name the theme on a subdomain, and apply it so they have a preview link when someone's looking at this theme to actually look at it before they activate it. Great example, you can buy themes from ThemeForce, Template Monster, and all these different places out there. And they have a nice little preview representation of the themes. So you can see what they look like. Same kind of concept. And that's what's really powerful about this. You can really create your own theme network or theme marketplace, really, but offer so much more. The entire CRM, the project management system, all the tools and functionality, especially if you apply a lot of these things in here. So, you know, your hook of going out there and getting people to leverage your themes, you have all this other stuff that makes it even more powerful, right? So that's the concept. Assets. So if you're familiar with our import process, you go and load up your assets into the asset manager. That's still a step. And then you take all the assets that are in the head and the footer and you throw it in the template section. This is a little bit different. You got to add them one at a time. It is important for this because this controls all your content blocks. There's a lot of things to it. So this is a step, obviously, that has to happen and is different than the previous ones. However, once you load up your asset manager, it's the same flow. You got to put all your assets in your asset manager. Now, one thing that I recommend is starting with a blank template, import it, test it out. Just make sure you got everything working the way you want it to work, and then come over here and make it into a theme. So there's a little more steps to make it a theme, but the benefit of it is just so much better. In addition to that, you could start with a theme and just add the assets and then go test it by creating a site and then going and adding your code to it and testing it that way. So you certainly can do that, but I recommend getting a working version. This is great if you already have one that's working and you're like, hey, I want to create this into a theme for everyone to use in my ecosystem or for specific use. That process is the same thing. Upload your assets. And the only difference here is now you're going to click on add asset and you're going to go into that folder that you've created for your assets. For instance, I've loaded up all my assets for this particular theme, the CSS, the JavaScript. Those are really the only ones you need. All the other stuff here, from fonts to images, everything is mapped there still in the code level. So you really only need your CSS and JavaScript files here. So in this case, I'm just going to do a few, just to give you an understanding of what you're doing. So I'm going to go in my CSS folder and I'm going to grab a file there. Let me go ahead and add another one. I'll just add 2 of each type. So I'm going to add some JavaScript files. Go ahead and bring that in. Let me add one more. All right, so it is a little bit tedious to do this. However, it's important, and also the control that you have of where it shows up in your template. And it's just a little more straightforward as far as the process. So you have all your assets in. Oops, where am I going? You have all your assets in. Now, what's real cool is you have a couple options here. Some themes may have JavaScript in the head. Some themes may have some CSS in the footer. Not in all cases. It happens, right? So there's themes that have JavaScript right at the top in the head section. So you can control that and change the location wherever you want. Change it from head to footer. You can also rearrange it. So for instance, if I want to move this up and just reorder. So this is helpful, especially if you just were going through and adding all your assets. When you look at your theme, there's a hierarchy of your JavaScript. There's a hierarchy of your CSS. And so you're going to want to put it in the same hierarchy. And so in this case, you're just going to put it in the same order that you have in your template. And so you can move them around. And again, like I said, you can move them from head to footer as necessary there. So system variables, this is super cool. If you're familiar with CSS, there's a root variable that you can set in the system or in your CSS files. And so everywhere within your CSS file, you can use that variable, right? And you can only have to, for instance, color, right? You may have colors for your hrefs, your h2s, your borders, and that color is like the theme color, right? And so when I use that example over here, right? So when I go into the Bootstrap theme, for example, everything here comes with a name, BS primary. That's the primary name for the Bootstrap primary. That's the primary color. So if I were to change this color, so everything changes wherever I have this root variable. So when you're theming out a CSS file, there's these root variables you can use. You can actually create those within our system and use them in your CSS files. So they show up here from fonts to text, free text. So for instance, font size, you may have an H2 header with a font size 12 px. Now you're giving your user the ability to go in and change that to 15 or 16 px, right? So increasing the font size across the board on all of your H2s and things like that, right? So the way to do that is you're going to add a variable. So you're going to name it. So this is important. There's no spaces, all lowercase, dashes for spaces if you want, underscores, whatever, right? So in this case, I'm just going to do primary color, and I'm going to select the color type, and the value is just going to be black. You can throw RGB in here. You can throw RGB with just whatever RGB color schemes you can have. You can throw gradients in here. It's whatever the value is going to be after background color or border color, right? And so that value here in your name is what shows up. You will notice that in the CSS code, if you're used to variables, you have that, right? You do not put that in there. We put that in there. So that's going to show up. Source, don't need to worry about source when you're on color. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. Let's add another type. So in this case, I'm going to add, let's just say font. So you can come in here and put I probably should have an example here, but with font, you can put the font name here with multiple attributes, right? So whatever you would normally put in your CSS variable or your CSS file for font, you can throw that in here, put font, put the name, right? So the name, and then the font value here, and then the source out to the font. So, if you uploaded in your assets folder a custom font, or you bought Adobe fonts and you need to use those and they're locally hosted on your domain, you can do that. You can do Google fonts, whatever source link out to the font would go here. And then also text. So text, like I mentioned, H2 headers. And then I could put a value of, let's just say 20, what am I doing? 20 px. Don't need to worry about source. So I add that there. So now you have your template that show up in that theme tab. So as I mentioned over here, this little theme tab right here, this will show up here for the user to easily change and manipulate. Access. So this is where you can show it in your ecosystem. So, if you're real familiar with Ligna, you can create a parent account that then creates child accounts that have different roles and different visibility into the platform. And those child accounts could actually create teams with team members and team groups. And so that hierarchy can grow pretty wide with the parent account alone. But your parent accounts can also create additional parent accounts, and they can do the same thing. And so your ecosystem can get really big. If you check this off, your entire ecosystem sees this theme. So it means all parent accounts, their child accounts, their team member. It doesn't matter. If they have access to the funnel system, they're going to see this template. And then you also have user ID access. So inside your users table, you have IDs. So here, if you click on users, there's an ID here. So you can go and grab this ID and just give a one-off user access to it. In this example, I'm going to just take this sample person. So I can come over here and add this ID, select it. I can add multiple IDs. This is extremely helpful if you're trying to give access to one of your themes outside of your ecosystem. Just ask for that ID that the user has and put that in here, and they'll give access. Just make sure you don't put IDs in there that you don't want to have access. You can always come in here and delete the access if you like. And again, show in your ecosystem is going to show in your entire ecosystem. Content blocks. These are the blocks that I mentioned here. So if you're over here and you click this tab and come over here to blocks, you have all these blocks here. You can build out your blocks. Name them, just test block, add your block, go into your block. This is where you're going to put all your code for this block, and as well as your thumbnail. And I'm just going to use the same thumbnail as I used for the theme just to show you what this looks like. So you can put whatever block here. So all your global tags, if you have not done this video yet, I'm excited to do the video after this one, but we have our own internal logic for attributes, for if the conditional logic for our tag system. All your tags work in here, your global headers, all right? So if you're creating a block for navigation, you can create that global header block. That way it's already built for them. So any of the global blocks that you want to create for these blocks are all here for you to use as well. So all tags, and it would be nice if I knew how to spell. And so now here's my block. In addition to that, you have pages. So this is where you come in and you can create a page. So there's two types of pages. Once you use the home page, you can't use it again. So in this case, I'm just going to call this the home page. You're going to have to do add. So I'm going to go into home page. Same thing as a block. This is, actually, I'm going to throw in a p tag just so a test page. I apologize, my phone's ringing in the background. And then now if I come back to pages, I don't have that type again. I only have page type. And so this is where you do your about us. So if you're looking at a template that you have that has every internal page already built out, like different inside pages, examples, testimonials, the more the better, right? So the user can start and decide what pages they want and don't want, and can delete the pages that they don't want to use. So in this case, I'm going to do about, and I'm just going to throw in, obviously you would have all the code between the body. Same way that you would import the site in our blank template, you would take all the code between the body and you would throw it in here. Important to include your global header blocks, the global footer blocks, so they're already there for the user. This is the About Us page, and that way it's just already pre-built for them. So now I have my pages, I have my blocks, I have my theme configured of who has access to it. Now when I come over here to my funnel section, either in the template section or the funnel section here, when I click create new funnel, here's my new theme, right? So my thumbnail, my description, my category, I can do test example here. I can hit clone. This is going to build out all those pages. So when I go into this site, and of course, this is a test page here. I can come over here and click over here and I have my About Us page already built for me. This is the About Us page. Let me go back to home. But more importantly, here's my blocks. I can come and drag my block over. This is test block. So I can create all my blocks here that I want for the user to easily, obviously this is a terrible design because I didn't design anything. But You would have all your assets in here, you'd have everything. And so already go put a domain on this. The entire theme engine is powered by this, right? So it's just like creating, like as if we created system templates for the platform, which we need more of, right? But this gives you control now to create your own system templates, control who has access to it across your entire ecosystem or specific users. So it's going to get really interesting, in my opinion, of how this evolves, especially if you're trying to monetize this, right? Because going to buy a template from a template place, yeah, it's cool. You still have to install it somewhere, whether it be on WordPress or another CMS or straight HTML. In addition to that, you still have to get hosting. In addition to that, you don't have a CRM with it. You don't have all these other tools and functionality built into it. This is a game changer in so many different ways as far as how you monetize it, in my opinion. You could go after all the people who build themes and say, look, learn this system and build themes within this platform. And this is so much more. Create a subscription product for people to have access to all your themes and your library of themes, right? So the possibilities are endless. So I'm super excited. Not to mention, I'm super excited about our ability to deliver white label services by leveraging these pre-built themes that we already have. We've just been using them as the template engine that we currently have under funnels. And what's great here is you can create this, right? So I created this under the funnel section here. I still have all those options. I could still do that. I can still come in here and apply roles. I can then customize it even further. And then I can apply it as part of just an already pre-built site that you can quickly come in and change. The beauty of this is they have to go in and click on create new funnel, click on custom template, see how it's there right there as well. But this is now system wide. So I can offer this in so many different ways across my entire ecosystem. So I hope this is something that you leverage. It's obviously going to evolve, but I think out of the gate, this is pretty powerful here in so many different ways. And yeah, so if you have any questions about it, please let us know. And I'm excited that this is rolled out. So this is live for everyone today.